Everybody that's listening, if you're listening to us on one of the 25 radio stations or you're listening to us on the podcasting sites, greatly appreciate that. Like, subscribe, share, podcasting people. So we do hope you do that. Get that out to as many people as possible. Great guest today. We hope to have her as a returning guest down the road. Dr. Winifred Bragg here on the program. New book out. It's not. I just screwed
Knockout
up.
pain.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
gotta
new.
have to
It's not
reframe
new.
that.
It's been out a while. It's been out a while.
Well, we'll roll with it.
But I don't care about that.
All right, let me reframe this again because I screwed up.
That's
All right, so
okay.
everybody that's listening, if
Edit it
you'll
up.
go ahead. I'm sorry. What
I'm
would you
saying
say?
you had to edit that, didn't you? But that's all right. Go ahead on.
Yeah, now I'm the one that's screwing up. You're not. But that's probably par for the course. But anyway, anyways, we'll move on. All right.
Okay.
So everybody that's listening, if you're listening to us on one of the 25 radio stations, or if you're listening to us on the podcasting sites, like, subscribe, share for that. But we do thank you for listening. We do have a guest. We do hope she's a returning guest. It is Dr. Winifred Bragg here on the program. The book is Knockout Pain: Secrets to Maintaining a Healthy Back. Do hope you go and get the book. It is rated very high. Check it out on Amazon. Check it out at your local bookstore. We try to push that as well. Get those local yokel people that cash instead of Amazon. So we do try to do that. But enough of my silliness, Dr. Bragg. Thanks so much for coming on, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, Robert, for having me.
All right, so let's kick this around. Just do a little bit more of a deeper introduction to yourself. Can you tell the people listening or watching this a little bit about you? What made you want to go into medicine practice in general?
Well, I am an interventional pain specialist, and I'm double boarded in physical medicine rehabilitation and pain management. And what I want people to understand, the reason I like to do programs like this, is back pain is one of the most common reasons people go to the doctor. And a lot of people don't understand that when you have back pain, they think they have to rush and have surgery. But what I tell them is when you have other parts of your body, you don't rush for surgery. And so I have written books. I'm an author and I'm a entrepreneur, and I like to educate people. And that's why I have a YouTube station as well. And I went into medicine because I wanted to help people and I want to be able to have impact on my community.
I want to talk about the back issue. I have a friend that's 87 years old. He's a veteran. He was having issues with his back. They operated on him. The VA did. And now they say they didn't operate on him, but now he's a cripple pretty much. He's in a scooter. He still can move around, thank God for that, but he can't move very well. Before that, he wasn't the hunchback of Notre Dame. He was actually walking pretty well. Just to go a little deeper into this, because, you just brought this up about how these doctors keep pushing the surgery. We've went into this podcast with many other doctors about pushing pills, but let's specifically talk about pushing surgery. If I'm talking to you and the doctor's trying to push surgery on me, what would you tell me to push back? A lot of people don't know how to push back. We saw this in COVID that a lot of people didn't think for themselves. They listened to the white coat and they thought the white coat was Jesus Christ superstar. And unfortunately, those men and women are not all the time.
That's right. A lot of people think they are superstars, like you say. And that's why I like to have a YouTube station and I do tips every Friday on how to manage pain. And it's called at Dr. Winifred Bragg. You can go there. And one of the reasons I do that, Robert, is to educate people. Because if
Mhm.
you have 100 people only with back pain, only 5 of those 100 really need back surgery. But here in the United States, back surgery is done at twice the rate as in other countries. So how do you push back? You push back with knowledge. So you go to YouTube and you learn, and I have on there how a herniated disc can heal without surgery. We know that there's really only 4 reasons you need surgery for the back. That is if you have weakness, that your leg keeps getting weak, you've lost control of your bowel and bladder, or you have just incapacitating pain. But see, a lot of people go to the doctor and say, oh, just take it out, do something, cut it out, and there they are cutting it out. You want to go to a doctor that's going to try conservative measures first, just like you would with your heart. You don't tell the heart doctor, take it out. You want to know if there's an injection, if there's a pill, if there's an exercise. The same thing. I've also in my life created on a YouTube, and I keep talking about it, but I do that for the people. And I
Yeah,
have a thing on there, your first 30 seconds with your doctor. A lot of people don't think about that encounter. When you go there, especially with pain, you can't be all over the place. Lady came in telling me, well, when I was in 1969, let me tell you what happened to my back. In 1975, well, here it is, 2025. The doctor doesn't have time to go over 60 years. We would love to do that, but we don't have that time. So what you need to do is write out what is your main thing going on with you, because pain is not something a person can see. What's
right.
going on with you? If it's your back, does it radiate down your legs? And how bad is it? On a scale 0 to 10, how bad is it? And as you describe the pain, practice it at home with your significant other and say, did you understand what I was saying? And if they don't, can I guarantee the person in the white coat won't understand you either? So you want to start with that first 30 seconds saying, hey, this is what I've had back pain. I've had it this long. It radiates down my leg. So far, I've had therapy. I've had injections, and none of that has helped me. Help me, doctor. See how simple that is? But when
Yeah.
you start back in 1969, it's overwhelming.
I think that's important as well because we all know that due to many different factors, whether it's a lot of doctors are not working for themselves like they used to in the past. A lot of doctors
Right,
used to have their own practices. Now they're working for companies. The companies have their own agendas. We don't have to go through that. We know that what that is all about, and it's all
right.
about the almighty dollar. Regardless of that, I think it's important that you told people that statement about write this down when you go in there. Be ready to go because those doctors you only got them for about 5 minutes. Half of the time they're looking at the computer. They're not looking in your face. These doctors, for the most part, are not going to say, "Hey, where did it come from? Did you play sports in college?" They're not going to go too in depth. So you have to do this research for yourself because those doctors are in lickety split and then they're out. So I think that was very good for you to tell the audience that.
And in your lickety split, as you say, Robert, using your words, if you've had x-rays so that you don't have double
Right.
costs, come and tell us. And I had an x-ray at St. Mary's. I had an x-ray at St. Joseph, and I had it last year. It would be good if before you went to the doctor, you had those x-rays
Yes.
copies sent to that office so that then you're not paying for the same thing or there is no delay. People come to me for back pain and they had a lot of studies done somewhere else. And people think because we have electronic medical, I can't get into Dr. Robert, your records. You can't get into mine. If we work for the same hospital, I can. But if we can't, the whole world is not at our fingertips. So you need to bring that with you so that you have a better encounter with the doctor. And just check out my YouTube on your first 30 seconds on with the doctor to give yourself an enhanced visit.
Winifred Bragg, YouTube, check it out. Again, get the book, Knockout Pain Secrets to Maintaining a Healthy Back. Amazon, your local bookstore, Barnes and Nobles, Books a Million, the list goes on and on. Doc, let's go a little bit into this because, half of the country is very obese. Over half of the country is obese. Probably like 60, 70%, regardless of that. Is that an issue for back pain where we hear that a lot with knees, that if you're overweight, you're putting a lot of pressure on those knees, and eventually you could have a very serious problem down the road. We also know that if you're in athletics, running, playing a sport, that's an issue too for back and knee pain in general. Where does all this usually the back pain start, is what I'm getting to.
I know what you're getting at. Well, as my mom would say, if my mom went to the doctor, had a sinus infection, he started years ago. She's physically fit now, but years ago she was overweight. She went to the doctor and she had a stuffy nose, and he started talking about her weight. And she says, "What does that have to do with my sinus infection?" So my point is, a lot of things weight is gonna figure in. But I have people who are very overweight who don't have back pain. Of
Mhm.
course, being overweight, being obese is a risk factor. I say for back pain, something I call it the O's, the letter O of life. These are the things that increase back pain. Of course, being overweight is going to be one, but overuse, like you said, being an athlete, being in a job where you have repetitive bending and twisting, plumber, Even an accountant, someone like that who's sitting all day, all that
Right.
overuse can end this to back pain. So your occupational risk, overuse, older age, as we get older, we have osteoarthritis, another O that causes back pain, and osteoporosis. So those six things, all starting with the O, are what I call the O's of life, and they all can contribute to back pain. But that doesn't mean that every old person, every obese person is going to have it, but these are just some categories that we know gives us risk factors for having back pain. So what do we do? I always tell people, just because you're old doesn't mean you have to hurt. I had a patient who came to the doctor and she said she had been going to doctors and doctors, and her back pain was radiating from her back down her right leg. She was 90 years old. The doctor came to her bed and said, "Oh, ma'am, I've examined you. The reason you hurt is you're old." Her pain was going down her right leg. She told the doctor, "Now my left leg is 90 years old and it doesn't hurt." So that lets you know that just because you're old, everything doesn't have to hurt. So she asked for a better explanation.
Sure. And did sorry to keep going into that story. Did they ever find it a better explanation on that or no?
Well, she ended up coming to me, and we were able to find out an explanation. Of
Okay.
course, the lady was in her 90s, but she was very active. She walked
Good
and
for
did
her.
whatever.
Yeah.
And she had stenosis. And stenosis, not to be too much, is narrowing of the holes where the nerves come out. And when we get past 45, 50, that's a common thing. And you know how you know if you got it? If you go to the grocery store and you're bending over the cart, soon as you get in there, you get over bending over the cart because that relieves your pain. But when you stand up straight, it causes your pain. You
Mhm.
may have a condition called stenosis. And this is what she had because it gets it when we're older and it causes the holes for the nerves to come out to narrow.
So what is it when you see these men and women that are hunched over? They look, and I'm not trying to be derogatory again by saying this. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to put a picture to people listening and watching this. Like, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, the Disney movie, they're hunched over fully. They could be 50, 60. Well, we hope they're not 50, but they could be 50, 60, 70 years old and they're doing that.
Well, two things could be. One could be what we just talked about. They're hunching over, they on their cart and they're
The
hunched over
stenosis.
like that. That's stenosis. You know that we call that the grocery cart sign. Literally, the people get to the store, oh gosh, I got to get in a scooter or I got to lean over the cart. So they could have stenosis. Another thing they could get as they get older, they could have osteoporosis and they've gotten some little compression fractures along the way. And then their back got a little curve from scoliosis and they're kind of hunched over as well. Compressions. Maybe they fell and then the bones kind of smushed together, or their bones were really brittle from osteoporosis, thin bones, and they smashed together. And you see that they kind of get that hunchback of Notre Dame. Even though Notre Dame didn't win the championship this year, that's hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. I do want to reframe and tell people who we're speaking with today. It is Dr. Winifred Bragg. Do go to Dr. Winifred Bragg on YouTube to find her YouTube program. A lot of good tips and tricks on how to stay healthy with that back. Because as you stated, there's a lot of people that are working tough jobs. They are athletes, whether they're professional, whether they're just working out to have a better life. They should be making sure that they're doing the best to their ability as far as working out and doing the correct movements. And that's where you come in. I do hope people get the book again, Knockout Pain, Secrets to Maintaining a Healthy Back. Definitely check out that book at your local bookstore. I want to go a little deeper into this. We're going to backpedal actually, because you brought this up, and I just want to go back to this for the audience and the viewers as well. The guy that's sitting on the computer all day. I had to go to physical therapy for an issue I had, and we were talking about posture and how that can contribute to many issues in general. A lot of people, as you stated just a minute ago, a lot of people are on the computer consistently all day, and they are hunched over or they are in very awkward, weird positions. How is that right now? I'm sure you're seeing an uptick of back pain due to that issue, specifically because everything is technology now, more so than even 10 years ago, not to mention 20 or 30.
You're right. And so we have tech necks where people have the phone and they're like this with the phone. They get the tech neck. So the back, yes, we see a lot of people who sitting. And you know, the secret is what your mother told you. Don't stay on the couch all day. If you are sitting more than an hour and a half or 2 hours at a time, how many times have I told people you're going to have back pain? Get up. The Super Bowl is Sunday. I tell people on that Monday, we have what we call Super Bowl flu. I have all these people that can't go to work because they've been sitting on that couch all day long watching the Super Bowl, didn't get up. So, a simple thing to do if you're watching television, when a commercial comes up, get up and go to the kitchen, get some water, go to the bathroom, walk around your coffee table. But if you find yourself sitting more than an hour and a half, 2 hours, you're putting pressure on those discs. You get up, you're going to seem like an old lady or an old man. And that's where posture comes in. You want to relieve that. And you want to be able to sit right with your feet flat on the floor and sitting back. You may go to store, Target, Amazon, and I'm not sponsored by them. I'm just telling you where you can go and get a one, or you can take a towel and roll it and put it in the small part of your back. And that's going to help you sit up right when you're sitting in a chair. Now, of course, there are expensive chairs you can buy that have lumbar support, but for $15, $20, you go to a sporting good place and you can get that lumbar roll. Another good trick is you want to increase the core. You talked about overweight. You want to increase the core muscles, your abdominal and back muscles. Easy thing to do. If you can go and buy a stability ball, you can get them from Amazon or whatever. I have a link that tells you how you can get it from Amazon, but you can get them again from any other store, a stability ball. And you want to sit on that ball sometimes when you're watching television. Just doing that and balancing on that is a good passive way to increase your abdominal and back muscles.
Well, thank you for that information. I didn't even think of that. That is great information. Audience question here, and I do want to read this out about because I think it is beneficial to people listening as well. Maybe this is kind of a silly question, but we won't call the audience silly. We'll just read the question. You
Okay.
know, going back to the gym, okay, where we see all these people, and I personally see it myself, that their technique is horrible and they're lifting wrong. They're using their back when they shouldn't be. What injuries are you seeing people at the gym that work out real hard? Maybe they're in great shape. Maybe they're just lifting incorrectly and they're having very severe issues with their back due to them not lifting correctly.
Yeah, a lot of people that's doing deadlifts or lifting wrong, they don't bend their knees at all when they're doing that. And so they go straight down, and that can cause problems in their back because they're lifting wrong. I tell people, some of the trainers, unfortunately, have good fit bodies, but they're not really trained to tell the people how to lift appropriately. If you have back pain and you're working out and have a problem, it might be a good idea for you to get a one consultation with a physical therapist and let them review what you want to do in the gym to make sure that you're lifting right. Usually, your insurance may pay for that for you to go and just tell them, I'm not here for 3 times a week. I want you to look at what I'm doing in the gym and just look at my technique because a lot of times just that lifting wrong can cause back pain. And then there are those abdominal things that they have in the back where you're doing a lot of abdominal things in the back. I don't recommend people doing that because a lot of times people put too much weight on it. And sometimes people get herniated discs from doing that. And so you don't really just need to do that. If you want to do your core muscles, do a partial sit up rather than a whole sit up. Just come halfway up and do partial sit ups, and that will help your back.
Dr. Winifred Bragg, definitely check out that YouTube. It is Dr. Winifred Bragg on YouTube. Doc, let's end with the book. You did write the book. It's been out for a little bit of time, but not too long. Tell the audience a little bit about the book, why you wanted to write it.
Well, my mother developed back pain and I became her caregiver. And when I was taking care of her, she said to me, well, what are the other people going to do that don't have you? You need to write a book. I'm like, Mom, I'm trying to run a practice and I'm taking care of you. But when your mother tells you to do something, what do? I wrote a book and I'm fortunate that it became an Amazon bestseller. And it was written with the patient in mind so that you can understand these different conditions of the back and give you some simple strategies that you can do. And you can get a copy of a chapter from my book by going to my website, knockoutpain.com. Simply go there and request that free chapter, and you'll get an idea of how the book is written. But a lot of my patients and people have enjoyed it because it tries to speak to the patient at that level so that you can understand and be empowered when you go to the doctor, so you don't get afraid of that white coat syndrome and you can tell them what's going on.
Right. And thank you for that. So again, as we come to a close here in our interview today with Dr. Winifred Bragg, again, check her out on YouTube, Dr. Winifred Bragg, knockoutpain.com. Definitely check her out there as well. Can you just tell people where else they can find you? If you want to reframe with the website again too, and any other
Yeah,
LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook.
I'm on LinkedIn, and I am on my website. But they can really get me if they write info@knockoutpain.com. They can email me with a question. I take comments and questions from my YouTube. But if they go to knockoutpain.com, that's the best place. And they put in and get a free chapter, and then they can get tips, monthly tips from me, so that they can do things to prevent their back pain.
Dr. Winifred Bragg, knockoutpain.com. It's Winifred Bragg on YouTube. Definitely check her out. Check out the book, write her an email, whatever it may be. We hope to have you on again down the road because I think this is an important story in general that people should be thinking about consistently throughout their life, unless they want to have some serious issues when they get older, or even if they're younger. If they're not paying attention to the signs, they're going to have some serious issues. But Doc, any last words before we call it quits for today?
The last thing I want to tell people, I am really telling you good things so that you don't continue to pay for my house and my car. So if you pay attention to this, not sitting for longer than an hour and a half and 2 hours, and women, a 12-pound pocketbook, you're going to end up in my office. So don't do that. And I hope that these tips are beneficial to you.
Right, I agree. 12-pound pocketbook is a little extreme,
I
but
weighted pocketbooks when they come in, and I'm like,
oh,
you've been carrying this around. No wonder your back is killing you.
yeah, it's crazy. It's like we'll end with this. I used to watch Seinfeld quite often, and George Costanza used to have the billfold, and it was packed so heavy. It was like a billfold that weighed like 5 or 6 pounds, and he had all kinds of cards and credit cards and gift cards and library cards and every other card you can think of. And people do that. They save
They
everything.
do that. And when you do that, that's right where the sciatic nerve comes out, and then a man will come and tell me, Doc, I have a pain in the butt. I'm like, if you get rid of some of that money and cards that you're carrying in that wallet in the back, it may help you. So you're right. And they literally have a pain in the butt when they have that wallet so heavy like that.
Crazy. Again, Dr. Winifred Bragg. It is knockoutpain.com. It is Dr. Winifred Bragg on YouTube. Doc, it was such a great interview. So happy you came on. It was very smooth, and we got together like peanut butter and jelly. And I hope to do another conversation like this again.
And I'm looking forward. We'll change it from grape jelly to strawberry jelly next time.
Very good.